of development, that church attendance, religious fundamentalism, all these kind of things, have declined as we've evolved in that sense, if you want to put it that crudely. The second, though, is that I don't think that there are certain lessons that are not transmissible. Just as you said that only religion can provide morality to children, a very dangerous proposition, I think people will agree if they think about it. Anyone who does think it might want to look at Mary McCarthy's Memoirs of a Catholic Girlhood, for example, when she was told by her priests at the age of 9 that her favorite uncle was going straight to hell because he was a Protestant. That's not teaching children morality. And morality is teachable to children, I can tell you. I've seen it done. I won't say I've done it myself, but I've seen it done without recourse to the supernatural. But that certain lessons have to be learned by each generation, each time. Every generation has superstitions to combat. There will always be people who afresh will believe in ghosts, who will afresh believe in things we thought we dismissed, spiritualism, table rapping, table turning, conjury, levitation, all this nonsense, has to be refuted in every generation. We don't evolve out of this. It's an argument we have to have anew every time, as we do the argument about whether or not there is a supernatural dimension instead of a philosophical one, and you now know which side of that I take.
To everybody in line, we know you've given your questions a lot of thought. It takes real courage to get up there, but we're just flat out of time. I apologize. Blame me, but we wanted to give...
Maybe take one more.
Well, I was
It'll
just
give
going
us
to
a
say,
chance to wrap up.
Well, I was just going to say, wanted to give you each a chance to wrap up.
I'd rather have a question, I really would.
Okay.
Because we both, I think, would have to be acquitted, couldn't be acquitted of having given rather long answers.
Which is great. And gentlemen in the front, if you'd be kind enough, and we're grateful for it, to defer to student, appears to be an underclassman. I may be wrong. Thank you for your indulgence on that. Sir, you'll be the last question.
All right, I'm a student from CU. My question is from Mr. Hitchens. If we use the scientific method to test the power of prayer, and there was enough evidence for the scientific community to create a theory about it, would you consider the existence of God?
Well, there are two answers to that question. One is that this has actually been minutely studied, and you can read the findings, the study of intercessory prayer, that's to say, prayer that is designed to affect an outcome, in other words, to make someone in hospital get better. And it's been found, I used to think that they would find there was no effect of it at all, which was what was found, with one slight variable, that very often the person being prayed for the most did slightly worse. The reason being that they felt bad for all the people they knew were praying for them, and the fact they weren't getting any better.
Although I'm just saying, if the scientific community had
well,
enough
I'm just saying,
evidence, would you
well, you're
personally
asking me if my aunt had bollocks, would she be my uncle? My answer to the question is, if she did grow testicles, I think she still wouldn't be my uncle. The British royal family, I was raised an Anglican, as you may possibly guess. The British royal family has prayers mandated for it to be said. Prayers every single day by every single Anglican in every single service, prayers for that family, okay? Have you read about the doings of this family lately? The most prayed for family in the world. I would take that as the control experiment if I was you. I'm so glad you asked.
I'm not saying that we've done it yet, but if
Let me take a shot.
If you're saying what would it take to convince me, okay, I won't be frivolous. If I thought I saw a
just
miracle,
using the scientific method.
if I thought I saw a dead person walking, for example, I would be much more inclined to think that I was the victim of a hallucination than that I had seen the laws of nature suspended in my favor. That's just the way I am. I think David Hume was right. The laws of nature have just been suspended, apparently in front of your very eyes. Which, nonetheless, is likelier? That they have been suspended, in your favor, almost always, by the way, or that you are under a misapprehension. Always, to me, the first explanation would be the least probable one. The likelihood that I was having a hallucination would have to occur to me. Of course, it wouldn't occur to me if I was undergoing a hallucination, but that's how these ideas get spread around.
The problem is that we don't have final knowledge on what the laws of nature are. if at the time of David Newton and the time of David Hume, you had said to him, light is both a particle and a wave, he would say that that was contradictory. If you had described to him even the most elementary operations of computers or quantum mechanics, he would have dismissed them as ridiculous. That's not because these are contradictions of the laws of nature. They are, in fact, the laws of nature unknown to David Hume. The question that you asked, I think, is very powerful because you weren't claiming an empirical proposition. You were really asking Hitchens a different question. Is your mind open to being changed? If evidence shows one thing, are you willing to change your mind? To which his answer was a resounding no.
No. He started at the other end. He said, suppose the scientific proof occurs.
Yeah.
And I had to say what I thought the probabilities of that were, and I hope with sufficient...
How many tests have there been done?
Now, wait a minute, you've got one more chance to put those paws together. Are you going to take it or not? The hardcore? No, No, I didn't say
Let's
anything.
take a final question, if we
I
can.
did say how my mind works, not how it would be changed. I would still say, faced with a supposed miracle, it's much more likely that I'm under a misapprehension. Now, it is an absolute slander to say of David Hume that confronted with evolution of scientific method, based on what little he had known of it, projecting it exponentially or in any other way, that he would have said, no, that can't be right because I don't know about it. That is totally to misunderstand the way that Hume thought and wrote, utterly to misunderstand the whole proposition of skepticism.
The gentleman have asked to finish with the question. Sir, would you be willing to defer to the student behind you?
Sure.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. I know you've waited a long time.
I am a student.
Pardon me?
I am a student.
Let her rip.
So are we all. So are we all.
Yes, thank you. There has been a lot of talk and question tonight about morality and justice. While I am a student, my work mostly is in Los Angeles in the criminal justice system, where I am a forensic specialist and an investigator. When I go to work, I put my hand on a Bible, and the questions are asked, will you tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? To which I uncomfortably have to say I do. In those trials, most of which are murder trials and capital
Sir,
trials.
I do apologize, but they're going to turn the lights out on us. Is there a question?
Give me very quickly.
Great.
I see a lot of people lying in that situation to win. And it bothers me greatly. Fast forward or backwards to a class here where I have a theology teacher saying to me that I cannot.
There's always one.
Boy, sir, I do apologize,
I'm going to
but
ask the question.
no, that's what happened to the don't tase me, bro guy. No,
Professor, decision.
no, I'm sorry, sir. That's
There's
what
always
they
one.
pay me for. Sorry, we've got to, ma'am, do you want to ask the last question? And sir, respect your passion, but we've got to get a question going here. Ma'am, go right ahead.
My question is for Mr. Hitchens. Mr. Hitchens, you have said that
Don't boo her. Hey, just give her a chance. Go ahead, please.
Mr. Hitchens, you have said that you think current science on embryology makes clear that preborn humans are children deserving of some protection, correct? My questions for you as an atheist are as follows. First, what exactly do you think the nature of preborn humans is? And second, on what grounds do you argue with your materialist friends who disagree with you that they are deserving of some protection and that they have value?
Right. Well, it's a materialist question to begin with. I mean, embryology is a materialist science, and even if you didn't think that before the recent discoveries about, say, the early viability of an unborn child or fetus, embryo, whatever you wish to call it, there was no question that it was alive. It wasn't just a jungle of cells or a tumor or an appendix, as some feminists used to refer to the unborn. In my memory, it was simply a growth on and of the woman's body, not a separate thing, not a living thing.
Not the early feminists.
The question would resolve itself to me like this. It's obviously alive. There's an element of casuistry in asking, well, what kind of alive is it? I mean, if it's a life, it must be a human one. It can't be a non-human or inhuman one. So all these questions are decided that way. I'm not a pacifist. I don't think that there are no circumstances in which a human life can be taken, or the balance of one life doesn't have to be measured by all kinds of means against another, but I think that it's extraordinarily objectionable to exclude